Today we are going to discuss our performance manifesto. That those are the five manager lessons for engaging performance conversations. Usually feel attention in your organization around performance management. You know it's very helpful, but it's also a mess most of the times. And the tension is always between increasing the productivity of human beings and increasing the performance of the organization, like you would for a machine. However, the tension exists precisely because they are at odds, yeah, with one another. Like an individual will always, most times they don't see themselves as a company. They look at themselves as the individual themselves, whereas the company looks at them as the company itself. So that odd there precisely usually brings the tension. So how do we resolve that? We need to create a culture of performance conversations rather than performance management. And that is why in the recent past you have seen people struggling to score the fives, the fours. Why? Because we've been having performance management rather than the performance conversations, where you'll find people genuinely saying, I didn't do this. Actually, though I put in my all, we have not achieved. So, what do we do instead? We need to start we need actually, before I go to what we need to do instead, we find that 46% of the HR tech buyers believe performance management is a waste of time. Yeah? Why are you telling us performance at the end of the day? Do you want money or not? If you made profits, why should you assess our performance? They forget those other areas. And only 29% of employees believe HR helps them perform better. So those ones that keep on doing the checks and all that are the ones that are actually better. So one third of managers don't know how to help people change, and less than 10% know how to make behavior change sustainable. So it's an area of improvement that we need to look at and improve. So what do we do instead? We need to coach and develop the people that coach and develop the people. For example, here is discuss with heads of department, the senior managers, the managers wherever you are. You find that you're a manager, you have a supervisor, and the supervisor also has a reported down. You find that you are a senior manager, you have a manager, and the manager has another manager. So you find that we need to coach and develop the people that coach and develop people, because in today's workplace, employee productivity and effectiveness heavily relies on people's leaders' ability to coach employees for high performance. And that's usually done within through conversations. But not every manager feels equipped to coach employees. Yeah, and that is why you saw the other 10%, less than 10% appreciate that sustainability. So it's likely that managers were promoted because they were great at their job and not because they were great at managing people. And yet they are coming to manage people in order for them to be great at their job. So odds that no one ever showed them how to be a great manager have have these development conversations with the people, this resource can help. So the five lessons for engaging performance conversation. Number one is the invitation. There are three important things to remember with the invitation: time, setting, and expectations. It is very important to set time. Okay? You to have a you first have to start a conversation. Do that, you need to find time. However, it's not just about finding an open slot on your calendars. Performance conversations are usually a little more tense than just a quick chat. The minute you say, do you have a minute? A drill shoots through your employee's body with the inquisitive reaction of, oh no, I'm in trouble. You find supervisor calling, yes, okay. I remember one one time my supervisor called me. I'm like, oh, now I don't know what I've done. I'm just in trouble. And we should say, I've come to tell you that the people you support have actually given good feedback about you. You don't know how I felt. I didn't even feel nice that they say that, but I was just relaxing from the other intrinsic reaction that I had. So their brains react like there would be in a conflict. And so think about when you would be a good time to talk from their perspective. It is a tough week for them already. So what do they have going on at home? So, do you have a calendar time, an emotional time to have a productive one on one with you? Those should be the questions that are coming up. So, pick a setting, yeah? Carefully consider where you're going to have the performance conversation from as you craft your invitation. Your employee will begin making assumptions once the email hits their inbox. Your office, private, serious topics might be discussed. Yeah, is it going to be casual conversation? Won't it be too personal? Yeah, so each time you put a setting, those are things you need to find. Conference room, is it means you may find is it collaborative? Eh? Other parties probably involved. So as you keep on getting a setting, those things come up, and then set expectations. When scheduling a performance conversation with your employees, it is important to set expectation with a clear agenda. When your direct reports know what to expect, it will ease their nerves, help them prepare and become more productive, and it will end up becoming a more productive conversation. So we suggest discussing goals, obstacles, opportunities, discussions, yeah, every regular scheduled performance conversations. Yeah, so it could be like, congratulations, you've got a conversation on the books. Now what? Like it should come out clearly. Lesson two. Remember, just to take you back, the first lesson was on the invitation. So now lesson two is on preparation. You have scheduled your one-on-one, but you have not done it yet. Here is what you should do to prepare for an effective performance conversation. Share notes ahead of time. While sharing performance conversation idea might seem a bit progressive for some organizations, others consider it a tip of transparency, iceberg. Some workplaces encourage managers and to take agendas one step further and share detailed notes before the performance conversation for them to prepare, for you to prepare. This additional transparency allows for more thoughtful preparation and a more in-depth and honest conversation. So once you share notes ahead of time, ensures nothing, no matter how awkward or uncomfortable, eh, gets left unsaid. So, of course, you anticipate negative responses. Giving critical feedback is not easy. Performance feedback. So, receiving it is even harder. So, the giving is another thing, but also receiving it is harder. So, there are basically so many factors that might prevent your direct reports from responding positively to performance feedback. Their ego. It's not easy for employees to face their reality of their own performance. This usually happens when it comes to the men. You find a woman is your boss and they are telling you you've not done this. Sometimes because of your ego, yeah, you face the reality of your own performance. Yeah, and there is an executive coach that said that 70% of us believe we are in the top 10% of our peer group. Then we have the brain. Feedback is very threatening. External threats trigger a fight or flight response. So, in a conversation with your boss, their response might cause employees to get defensive or shut down completely. Oh, okay, and you understand. So, there is that need for time. Their fear. The idea of receiving feedback from tends to evoke fear. Reducing their fear can drastically impact your employees' willingness to receive corrective feedback. So it is very important. Then also do research. Most of the times we usually look at what we are actually assigning the reportees to do. You've told them to bring and put a pen here, and if the pen is not there, they have not performed. Yet we forget there are other factors. So as you do your research, you're actually trying to find out from the peers. hmm, This horizontal line and also the vertical. How is it? What could have brought this kind of performance? So employee teammates can even give you better insights in their collaboration skill and willingness to go an extra mile. Their direct reports will tell you if they are coaching effectively and communicating well. So the employees themselves provide context and unique perspective. This thing most people have termed it as a skipper level. Yeah, skipper level. That's how they've termed it. So the three, the conversation. Now that you're in the room together, we've come, we are seated, in person or digitally. It is important to remember these four things. Number one, start off on the right foot. It is very important to always start with good news, because good news helps to set the right tone and give good energy flowing in the meeting. So it can also help, I mean, remember the bigger picture. You can start with questions, and like um, you're trying to find out how their mood was. Are they fine home? Something like that, so that you're able to um, set a tone and right flow of information. Then focus your attention. So focusing attention these days, by the way, in the digital age, this is very difficult. You find someone is online, they are on phone, they want to respond, they have an email, they have to respond, a notification has come in. So you find that information is flowing in, but it is not being well received. So, um, attending and being present also means more than just silence on your device. So, studies have shown that having your phone on that table during conversation, even it's off, leads to reduced feelings of empathy. Because I'm like, oh, I lost someone. Oh, you lost. Okay. But if you didn't have this phone, actually you understand even the mode in which the person has spoken. So it is quite very easy for you to match up. Then listen as much as you talk. What? But I'm facilitating the performance comment. That's what you're going to know. We know, yes, you're facilitating, but listening to what your employee is saying, and don't say, is just as important. No, the conversation is about them after all. And that is why you have actually called them to come on board. So it is easier said than done, especially when critical feedback is given on or conflict arises. Here are a few tips on how getting employees more involved in that. Ask questions. What could you do to accomplish that? How might you avoid that in future? Pause. Natural pauses allow you and your employees to think calmly and react confidently. Build trust. If employees don't trust you, they are likely to receive your feedback well and respond honestly. Hmm? Fostering a relationship of trust should be a priority before you enter into this performance conversation. Because when someone doesn't, what does it mean? Remain objective. It can be easy, especially a critical performance conversation, to allow emotions to influence the discussion, especially if your employees respond negatively by getting defensive or shutting down. We have seen these things happen. Difficult as it is, we must remain calm and even killed. Why? If you follow all these suggestions in preparation, you should be equipped to navigate the situation. Remain calm, be open minded, and keep the conversation focused on improvement. They'll tell you, better my boss, you failed me on that. Yeah? The other year I told you to you didn't, that is why I didn't. And if you allow emotions, because you're in 2020 and someone is saying something that happened in 2021 and you lose it, then it will lose the objectivity of it all. Lesson 4, follow up. Your meeting will eventually reach its conclusion, but the conversation should not stop. Here is what you should do next. Stay on the same page. It's crucial that both parties leave a performance conversation on the same page. It is even more important that you start on the same page. The last thing you want is you and your employee to disagree on what you said or decided upon in your last one-on-one. So avoid misinterpretations by formally documenting your conversations. And that is why we have created a template. Record your notes immediately after you pack and ask your employee to do the same, preferably in the same document. Allow a few days for you both to comment on each other's entries or make any necessary clarification. So once both agree on a recap, close out your conversation and refer back to it before your next one on one. Checking on progress. Performance conversations are only important and effective if there's actually an improvement on your employees' performance. Get progress updates. Okay, we said this report should be coming in every Tuesday. Yeah, I've not seen the report. How far with the report? So each time you keep any new goals private between you and you give visibility to the entire team organization. So transparent goals will help establish a culture of feedback and continuous improvement, and not forgetting accountability for your employees. Lesson 5 is the technology. Technology is becoming our world more efficient, productive, and connected. So the same is true with the workplace. And this lesson is for HR. How are your conversations with a workplace? From employee surveys and 360 feedback to one-on-ones and recognition, engagement about software can help you create a culture. Okay? So ensure you use surveys, setting goals should be clear. We should HR should be enhancing these one-on-ones like I'm actually doing now, providing ideas and alerts and all that alike. So once we do that, I believe that we shall have an engaged team at the end of the day. We should have an engaged team at the end of the day. Thank you.